hello and back to Ycft. This is one that I've been very excited to do. We actually wanted to do this last year, but I put it off because I felt like I wasn't ready to talk about this film yet. I wanted to practice the channel and presenting more before talking about this film. We are talking about Tremors. Surely most people have heard of Tremors.
I hope so. It's a classic.
Quick plot synopsis, I guess.
Okay.
So it follows Val and Earl, played by Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, who sadly passed away not too long ago.
Yeah.
They play two handymen in this desert town in Nevada called Perfection, population 14.
14. Yeah.
The town is attacked by prehistoric underground worms.
Yes.
Tremors.
Tremors!
What I always find really funny is, shame I don't have the original cover. Rhonda, Val and Earl stood, and then with the graboid, which is what the worms are called, coming up towards them. And it has teeth.
It's the inside of the DVD.
It's the inside of the DVD.
I'm looking at it right now.
And it has teeth.
Yeah.
The graboids don't have teeth.
They're
the
blind.
little arms do. They're blind. And it's always funny that on the poster the graboid doesn't look how it does in the film.
Yeah, I know.
It's like there was some disconnect between the design department,
I guess so,
the marketing department and the filmmakers. I love it. We've got a little graboid.
We do.
Here that we picked up at a
horror convention.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, I was so happy when I found that.
He's a prized possession.
He is.
Any burglars, they can take our money.
They can't take our graboid. How did you first watch this movie?
So this is a movie for me. Also, sorry, I will just say I've got a bad cold again.
In case anyone couldn't tell.
Yeah, I got it back just for you guys, so you're welcome. I watched this movie when I was a kid. I wish I knew. I wish I could remember the very first time I watched it. For me, it's one of those films. It's just kind of always been there.
Always existed.
It's always existed. Yeah, I have childhood memories of watching it. It's a family favourite. My mum is a big fan of this movie. I think even my dad liked it. I remember it being on TV a lot when I was a kid. I don't know if I may be misremembering that, but I do remember watching it a fair bit. I don't think we ever had it on DVD or VHS though, so I just assume it was on TV a lot and played on UK television. But yeah, I adore it. This is just a very special movie. I think most people agree on that. Seeing other videos of other YouTubers talk about this film, there's just something kind of special about it. It just hits all the right spots. Similar to Jaws, in people can appreciate it's a classic. Actually hits a lot of similar plot points to Jaws. Yeah. Anyway, it's Jaws on land. It's Jaws in a desert.
Well, the film's original, the name in the script was Land Sharks.
But yeah, it's I don't know, it's a special little perfect movie.
It is. To me, it is also a perfect movie. I also discovered it on TV. In my mind, I'm thinking about this movie a lot recently because I, around the same time on TV, must have watched Twisters and Tremors. Oh, so there's a new Twister, because Twisters is coming out this year.
Yeah.
Could already be out by the time this video comes out. So whenever I see a trailer for that, I start thinking of Tremors. I must have in the same day watched both those films for the first time. Just they've always lived rent-free side by side.
Yeah, we said they're kind of like flatmates.
Yeah, they're like flatmates. Two very, very different types of disaster of movies. We've got disaster and we've got monsters.
Yeah,
it's kind of everything.
It's
everything I want.
Twisters is a lot of fun. Similar energy.
I also want to shout out this book here, Seeking Perfection by Jonathan Melville. I got the idea of getting this book from Dead Meat's kill counts on the Tremors, on all the Tremors films that Zoran hosted. It's an unofficial guide to the first 4 Tremors movies, how they were made, how they came about.
Uh-huh.
And one thing I kind of want to shout out, which I find really cool, because we've seen him interviewed a couple of times in behind the scenes for Tremors, but on the special edition Blu-ray, there's 2 commentary tracks. One by the writers, Steve Wilson and Brent Maddock, and one by Jonathan Melville.
Yeah.
That must be the ultimate fan experience. And he, in the book, says he never even saw it in the cinemas because he was too young.
Yeah.
He discovered it on TV just like us and fell in love with it. To become a fan, and to enough of a level to be able to write a book about it.
Yeah.
And then get to be interviewed about it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's really cool.
That's fandom to a whole new level.
That's fandom done right. So far I've only read the bits on the first film. Yeah. I'm going to keep going through it as we do other Tremors films in the future, but I really highly recommend it for any Tremors fan. So it goes into a little bit of the making of it.
Let's do it.
So initially idea, S.S. Wilson had the idea of doing a film called Land Sharks.
Yes.
He and Brent Maddock wrote Short Circuit.
Yeah.
Remember that movie? They had mixed feelings working on that film because they felt like their project was very much taken away from them.
Yeah.
But they actually worked a lot as like ghostwriters for Spielberg, because they worked very close to him, and they impressed him.
Yeah.
So that's quite cool. So they have a lot of fond memories working
Yeah.
with him and just tweaking scripts for him and stuff like that.
That's cool. Very cool.
But their experiences on Short Circuit meant that they wanted to have a film that they could make of their own.
Yeah.
And because initially they wanted the director of this film, Ron Underwood, to direct Short Circuit, but because he hadn't directed a feature before, the studio said no. So they developed the script, and their agent at the time, who was now like their business partner, Nancy Roberts, she really is a hero in this story because she really helped push them, open the doors that they needed to talk to various people.
Yeah.
But it's hard to sell a film like this. At some point, the name changed from Land Sharks to Graboids.
Yes.
Which is, like I said previously, the name of the giant worms.
Yeah.
It's a great name. Graboids.
Graboids.
Yeah, because that sounds better than Land Sharks.
Anything is better than Land Sharks.
Yeah. And they did struggle a lot because they desperately wanted Ron to direct, and he hadn't directed before. Yeah. So Nancy managed to get in touch with Gail Ann Hurd, who... Was she married to James Cameron at the time?
I'm assuming so, because Gail Ann Hurd and James Cameron were married for a fair bit, and this is... Well, Tremors is 1990, but I'm assuming it filmed in 89. Only a few years after Aliens. I'm going to assume they were still together.
Was that after The Abyss as well?
Yes. Abyss was late 80s.
Yeah. Basically, she and No Frills was her production company.
No Frills Productions, yeah.
She agreed to exec produce this film.
Yeah.
Which is the
Fair
only...
play.
Basically, one of the only reasons this film got made, because then Universal agreed to pick it up. But not do it as an in-house film. I think it's called a film pickup, where they basically buy the film after it's been made, so they have to go out and buy it, get a loan to make the movie.
Yeah.
But it meant that she, as an exec, had to be way more involved than she usually would do, because the studio, Universal, were not going to the director to make sure things are good on track. They're always going to her.
To her.
So she really is kind of like the reason this film exists.
Fair play.
And, I know James Cameron obviously is James Cameron, but she is also almost just as influential
she was a huge
in her own areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive producer.
Yes.
And the filming of this was a nightmare. As well as films they filmed in the desert, they did briefly toy with the idea of using special effect like CGI to make the graboids, but basically the dust particles that they need for something like this didn't exist until Twisters. VFX was very much in its infancy at the time, so they just had to go practical. Which meant that things broke all the time.
Yeah.
They were a nightmare to set up. But there was two companies. So there's Amalgamated Dynamics, who were newly formed. They'd worked with Stan Winston quite a lot. They didn't even have their own space to work in yet. They kind of just fibbed until they...
Let's go meet at this restaurant for lunch to talk, let's have a business meeting in a cafe.
Well, they did a great job. Whenever I watched this when I was younger, I hadn't made the link yet, but I always thought like the Graboids reminded me of the bugs from Starship Troopers. And it makes sense because they did also work on that. I mean, there was loads of special effects companies that worked on Starship Troopers, but when I saw like a Graboid blow up, I was like, that looks like... I've seen this before. I have absolutely seen these effects before.
Well, wasn't there also some concern over how phallic they looked as well? I'm sure that was a point of contention for a few people.
There was some concerns over it because they basically, many times, described them as they are penises with a vagina for a mouth.
Yes.
I find hilarious. So what was the name of the other company that did all the miniature work?
Forward.
They have to work obviously closely in tandem.
Yeah.
To make this work, and that's one of those things about this film. It is aged so well with its effects.
Yeah.
Really, really good miniatures work. Smart use of the full scale props. There's only like 1 or 2 blue screen shots, and to be fair, that is dated. You can tell.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to that scene.
Yeah.
In a bit. It doesn't look bad. It's just dated.
No, you could just tell. Like that's all.
There's even some shots of like Val standing on a mountain which didn't exist, which used really old style filmmaking, which was a matte painting.
Yeah.
But an in camera one, so they painted a bit of glass, had him on top of like bits of wood and trussing.
Yeah.
And lined them up through the camera. They still use that on Star Wars. That is old school filmmaking.
It's pretty cool. The film looks amazing.
It is a perfect movie, Ed.
It is a perfect
movie. But it
movie.
bombed.
Unfortunately, yes.
It absolutely bombed, but what it did well was video sets.
It was home video.
Home video.
It saved it, yeah.
The poster helped.
Yeah.
So the inaccurate poster.
Well, I think as well, something you were saying before, in that CGI, all of that was very much in its infancy in the late 80s, early 90s. Something else that was really in its infancy was just the meshing of different genres.
Yeah.
We talked about this when we did Arachnophobia a few years ago, I think, in that was... Obviously, Arachnophobia is a horror, it's also a comedy, but that was still quite rare, blending the two together, and distributors just didn't really know how to market a film like that, and it's the same with Tremors. Like, it was unusual that you would have what is ostensibly a horror movie, but with a lot of comedy in it too, and they just didn't really know what to do with it.
That's why a lot of studios passed on it, because they were nervous about the blending of genres.
Yeah, it was unusual at the time, which is kind of mad to say because 1990 does not feel that long ago.
No. Also, Kevin Bacon at the time wasn't a massive star.
No.
He had obviously done a few movies. He was known for Friday the 13th, Footloose. But he'd only been doing little bits. He hadn't blown up yet.
No.
So there's definitely like Kevin Bacon's career before Tremors and after Tremors.
Fuck you! Hey guys.
He did not return for any of the sequels.
No.
And there's lots of conflicting stories on this. I don't think he knew at the time. I think he enjoyed working on it, but I don't think he ever thought it was going to be a hit. And it wasn't a hit.
So the two versions I've heard, because I watched a documentary on it, and Bacon returned for the documentary, and he was talking very fondly about his experience on the movie. But I've heard from producers, from Ron Underwood, that when it came to doing Tremors 2, they approached Bacon, they wanted him to come back, but there was conflict, like a scheduling conflict with Apollo 13, so he physically could not do it, even though they were implying he wanted to do it. But then I've also heard, because Tremors bombed, literally bombed, Kevin Bacon didn't want to return to Tremors 2, which also makes a lot of sense to me, because why would you return to do a sequel to a movie that clearly didn't do well the first time? It's like, I know, I was always really disappointed when I heard that Bacon kind of like distanced himself from the franchise a bit, but I understand it from a business point of view. It's like, why would you go back to something that didn't work?
Yeah. He has admitted that he regrets throwing away a franchise.
So it wasn't Apollo 13.
It could have been a little bit of both. It could have been a bit of scheduling, and so he could have made it work, but it could have jeopardized him on a much bigger film.
Maybe.
But that did ultimately lead to Tremors 2 going straight to video.
Yes.
Where Tremors never really escaped from afterwards. And if Kevin had come back, it would have gone to cinemas. And I remember one night we'd finished watching a film, exited onto like Netflix's main menu, and saw Tremors 2. It was like 11 at night. I was like, oh my god, watching Tremors 2. And that's your first experience of watching that movie.
It was.
Tremors 2 is great.
It's a fun movie.
I've watched all the movies. I've watched the TV show. Kevin Bacon did try and return.
Yes.
You can see it. You can find it online. A pilot for a new Tremors TV show that I believe was part of Amazon's pilot season, and they just didn't pick it up. And that to me is a shame.
Yeah.
Although we did still continue to get movies after that with.
We did.
I suppose the star of the franchise, Michael Gross as Burt Gummer.
I know. The most unlikeliest of heroes.
Because in the original movie, Burt is not the lead. He's a side character, and he was known for, was it Family Ties he was on?
It was Family Ties, yeah. The dad in Family Ties.
He genuinely thought that they'd made a mistake in asking him to come along for an audition.
Yeah.
But apparently, I think it was Ron Underwood that really wanted him, because they'd seen a few of his other things and thought he had range.
I think the casting director, whose name unfortunately I don't know, but it just seems that they were thinking outside the box a little bit and really going against type. There was something in Michael that they really liked.
Yeah. Underwood has said, and Michael Gross says he doesn't remember this, that apparently he really got into character, jumped up on his desk and was pretending to shoot graboids with an imaginary gun. He's like, that wasn't me.
Recollections vary.
Recollections vary on that one. But yeah, he does become the star of this franchise, but not until, because even he is in the second one, but I still wouldn't say that he's the main character. Fred Ward is the lead of Tremors 2.
Yeah, and he did carry a movie.
And he carried the whole movie, but Burt is an insane amount of fun in there, and that's when they realised,
I feel I was denied critical, need-to-know information.
we can use this character. So from Tremors 3 onwards,
he's the star.
He is the star of this franchise.
It is his franchise.
And I think that's when Kevin realised, like, I
fucked up.
Yeah.
I done fucked up, you know.
This franchise could have stayed in theatres if he'd come back.
More than likely, yeah.
But then I do have a soft spot for a lot of the Tremors sequels.
I think a lot of people do. I mean, yes, it kind of went straight to, well, from Tremors 2 onwards, direct to video.
Yeah.
Right? None of the others had.
None of the others have been to cinemas.
I mean, franchises can thrive and survive in the home video market. I mean, Child's Play went that way.
Yeah.
You know, we've not had a cinematic release for a Chucky movie in a while, have we?
Apart from the reboot.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, you know, kind of exists as its own separate thing.
Yeah.
I guess.
Let's go back to talking about the original movie. Yeah, Tremors. Is a very beloved franchise, and it felt like such an undertaking to talk about it because
wanted to do it justice.
I love this movie. And I don't even know if I'm going to be able to criticize this movie in any way because I do class this as a perfect movie. And what I think makes it perfect is the characters.
Yes.
Your average monster movie, like say, I'm going to compare it to, and this isn't me trashing these movies, the MonsterVerse movies, so the new Godzilla movies, like the Warner Bros. Ones, not Godzilla -1. The human element of those films is always the worst part. And no offense to any of the actors, but it's just not interesting. You want to see monsters fighting.
Yes.
Now, we have a movie here where, like Jaws, for a lot of it, we do not see the monster.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
So they burrow under the earth and they go based on sound, vibrations.
Yes.
So it leads to a lot of scenes of like, let's get off the ground, don't move.
Yeah.
But you're not seeing them.
No.
It's a lot of implying that they're there. So the characters have to be really well written.
Yeah, the characters.
I know they spent years writing the characters over and over again, trying to get it right because they didn't want to make it an outright comedy. They wanted to make a few moments that would be funny.
Yeah.
But make the characters feel more realised.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I think makes this movie perfect. It's one of the few monster movies I actually care and love the characters,
and all of them,
along with the monsters.
Not just Val and Earl, but all of them, all 14.
All 14 of them. Yeah.
Do
you want to go through a list of some of the other key players in this? Very tiny town.
Well, okay, so obviously, we have Val and Earl, who I'm assuming like born and bred in this little town. They're our main two. We have Bert and we have Heather Gummer. So I don't even know like how you describe these two, like survivalists and just...
survivalists.
Yeah, so they live in this like compound and
Bert hates the government and surveillance. They've moved off grid.
Yeah. Totally off the grid.
Totally off the grid. Gun nuts.
Absolutely. Yeah, like the most... This is such an American movie. Yep. Like that they kind of encapsulate that, a very specific attitude, I think, Bert and Heather, but they're great. Then we've also got...
sorry, 1 second there. His wife was played by a famous musician, wasn't she?
Reba McEntire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
she actually said in the book, because she was asked, you must be losing money working on this. She's like, you have no idea. But she really wanted to do it.
She just wanted to do it, and I'm pretty sure she sings the song that plays over the end credits as well. I love Reba McEntire in this. I think she's great. They have really nice chemistry together. But other people in the town, like inhabitants of the town, we've got Walter, who owns the little
convenience store,
which is sort of like a hub where all the characters tend to congregate.
There's nowhere else for them to go.
No, exactly. I can't remember the name, but we've got a mum and a daughter. The daughter is also in Jurassic Park.
She is in Jurassic Park, yeah.
We already clocked that recently on like the last rewatch we did. A couple of others. But then we also have a newbie in town who works at the nearby university college. She's a seismologist and she's called Rhonda. And she has gone to perfection because she is studying these really unusual vibrations that are being registered under the ground. So she's got all her fancy equipment, and she's the latest addition. So it's a really, really fun cast of characters that we got.
Kind of like one of the first hints we have that something's up is they find this elderly gentleman who's up on top of like a phone pole. And he's died of like dehydration, just didn't come down.
What the hell is he doing up there?
Yeah. Val, they're trying to leave town. They're kind of sick.
Well, they're done. Like they know. I think there's nothing for them there. Like they are just handymen. Like they take out the garbage. They fix things. Like they're just existing.
They're basically failures.
Kind of, yeah.
Ambitious failures.
Yeah.
But that's what makes them look. But even like as things start to escalate, it's also who could ride a horse to Bixby? I'm pretty sure Bixby's a fictional town, but it's referenced in most of the films.
Yeah.
Now there is nothing, and I mean nothing, between us and Bixby, but nothing.
I believe in the TV series, I watched that during lockdown. It's all on YouTube.
Yeah.
They do go to Bixby.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, who could ride a horse to get to Bixby? It's instantly look at Val and Earl.
Yeah.
It's like, we gotta go get help. Val and Earl.
I like that slow turn. Like...
And they're just like,
Oh. But I also love just, the very first scene, we're introduced to Val and Earl. You learn everything you need to know about these two guys in that one scene alone. Like, you see the playfulness of their relationship. You clearly can tell, like, right, these two guys have been mates for a really, really long time. They're very comfortable around one another. And I love that. Because there's not really a huge sort of dialogue in that scene as well. And I love it when a film can do that. Tell us a lot with actually
very little.
Doing very little. Yeah.
Yeah. So scale. So we see someone who's up on a pole of some kind. They try to leave. You got builders working on the road. That leads to you see this snake type thing grab a hold of their truck, and they end up dragging it back to town.
Yeah.
When they go to try and get help, this is when we have the full reveal of a graboid.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not a full reveal. It's under the ground. It chases them.
Yeah.
But it's when the first one is killed, they chase it into a ditch that the concrete line sort of crushes its head. It's fairly easy to defeat in the first one. And some of the effects they do to show the movie, I remember they dug ditches with oil cans and buckets and stuff, and just cover them over with some fabric, put the dirt back over it, and drag them, and that's how you get that look of them near the surface going through the ground. It's such a cool way. It's like the shark fin in Jaws.
Yeah.
That effect. Some way that you can always
that's
see them.
Where the barrels came from in Jaws, because again the shark was just not working, but they needed a way to for the audience to know the shark is there, and hence where the barrels came in. It was just a really easy way to tell the audience when there was danger around.
Yeah. Some favourite scenes
Because there's so many.
Doctor and his wife.
This is such a fantastic
sequence.
I've always loved this scene. Yeah, so it's nighttime. We've got the Doctor, we've got his missus. They are doing up their house.
They're building a house from scratch. They live in a trailer there.
In a trailer, yeah. And it's this really lovely moment, elderly man and wife, and they're having a sweet moment. They're looking up at the sky, seeing all the stars, and they hear a noise. Go over to investigate, and the Doctor starts getting pulled under the ground, and his wife frantically trying to save him. They have no fucking idea what is going on.
Not going to spoil this movie, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No idea what's going on. She tries to save him. She gets a plank of wood, so he's got a little bit of leverage. The plank breaks, and he is just pulled, totally submerged under the ground. She legs it into the car, which is probably the smartest thing to do. She's got no idea what is happening. And then the car.
We see the free extendable tongues,
I guess,
that the graboids have, pulls the car
under
down. Now this is another one that they wanted to show the car, because you don't see the car go down all the way down, and I think basically they just couldn't work out how to do it on that budget. But it leads to a shot that I really like. You kind of see a landscape of two headlights just slowly flickering away. I think that's really, really effective.
I love how you just see the headlights kind of silhouetted against the sky, and then and until there's nothing, and that car is totally gone under. It's brilliant. It's so well done.
Yeah. So once town becomes aware of them, they all hang out in the shop, which is the hub. And this is when, as it Walter Chang's death, the first person we see actually eaten by a graboid.
Yeah. Poor Walter.
It's incredible.
It really is.
They're all talking, gotta keep quiet, and it was established earlier on that they've got a Pepsi branded fridge that would occasionally just make noise. So they did, and they jumps on Val jumps on top of it. They try and turn it off, but it's too late.
It's too late. Yeah.
Didn't you say during right after filming that scene, Kevin Bacon's wife went into labour, so he had to leave set.
Yeah, Kyra, she was with him throughout the shoot. She was very heavily pregnant. She was full term, and Bacon apparently was really, really nervous because where they were shooting, it was very isolated, and the hospital wasn't within easy distance, so he was kind of just coming to set every day with bated breath, knowing any day my wife is going to pop. And it was as soon as they finished that scene where Bacon jumps onto the refrigerator and yanks out the cord in the wall. As soon as Ron Underwood yelled cut, got a call saying, "Yep, she's in labour," and apparently Bacon just left. I think they had more scenes to shoot that day, and Bacon was like, "I am gone.
Yeah,
I'm going to see my wife." Nice little bit of trivia that.
With the building of the town, the area they filmed in was prone to mini cyclones, so between filming shots, all the little buildings they made had to be tied down.
Yeah.
To stop them from, because I think when they built the shop the first time, it ended up getting picked up and dropped somewhere else, so they had to move it again. So filming it was just a nightmare.
Logistically, that's just chaos. Yeah.
That shot when Walter gets killed It's incredible.
It really is.
It really, really is.
It's the only time in the movie we actually see a person in a graboid's mouth.
Yeah.
And I know
So I imagine there's a technical limitation at the time.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're comparing this a lot to Jaws, I know, but if you imagine Quint, you know, at the very end of that movie, spoilers, in the shark's mouth, I mean, I think this is clearly, you know, like, it's very reminiscent of that. And it's really cool. The whole infiltration of Walter's shop, I love. I also just love little moments as well, where Rhonda is talking to, you know, like, the other characters. Like, there's Melvin or Melville, you know, like the kids, and then there's that other guy.
Melvin, a little dickhead of a kid.
Yeah, exactly. But
interesting. He, as an adult, is the villain of the TV series.
I love that. He was always destined.
He was always destined to be a villain, so he came back.
But yeah, I love those little moments where they're talking, because you can really kind of like tell the difference between Rhonda, you know, like, and her very, like, you know, educated background, and these, you know, like, salt of the earth characters. And she's like, you know, we don't know anything about, like, these things are unprecedented. And then one of them is like, yeah, but where did they come from? And I just, you know, I just really like how the film's kind of underlining that little fact there.
I like how it never makes fun of any of the characters.
No, absolutely not. No, like, I appreciate that. It's good.
Yeah.
It's just good writing. There's so many other classic scenes.
That scene with Walter then leads to them all being up on their roofs, and the graboids start trying to bring the town down from under
Literally
them.
dragging them down.
It's like one person, I don't even know the character's name, it's kind of just a side character. His building falls down, so he ends up just like jumping onto like a big tyre.
Yeah.
It's dragged down. You know, kind of like, did anyone have that fear of using like an airplane toilet and getting sucked down? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Which then leads to Bert and Heather's compound.
Yeah. Bert and Heather, by the way, have not really been in this movie that much up until this point.
No, we'd seen them like once, maybe before this.
Yeah.
They've been off, I think, like, just shooting.
I think they've been hunting, and yeah, they come back to the compound. They don't know what is going on. They have no idea. They can just see...
They just see the town of people on the roof.
Yeah, and they're like, what is going on over there? So Bacon gets on the radio. He's trying to tell them...
I mean, they have seen the graboid tongue.
But they don't know, like, the level of destruction that's happened in, like, the intervening time. And so they're communicating via the radios, and there's a graboid heading straight towards the Gummer compound. And in any other circumstances, you would think these two are goners.
Yeah.
Because they're, you know, like, they're not prepared. The thing is moving way too fast underground for them to do anything about it. But
yeah, this is the best scene.
I think it's the most iconic scene in the
Yeah.
whole movie. Yeah.
So they're in the basement, so like the rec room.
Yeah.
And Graboid bursts through the wall. In terms of like the effect, this is the one that has the blue screen. This is a mixture of like full size miniatures and VFX to pull this off. And so you see it burst through. It screams at them. Turn. You just see Bert and Heather and a wall of guns.
And the camera just pulls back to reveal literally just this entire wall.
And we're talking
filled with all kinds of rifles, with bullets.
And they shoot everything at this thing. We're talking like they do shoot their rifles, double pistols, shotguns,
elephant gun,
flares. Yeah, finish them off with the elephant gun. It's just the worst place this graboid could have come.
Oh yeah.
And it leads the line.
Yeah.
It's like, you broke in the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you, you bastard?
You bastard. It's wonderful.
It's a wonderful. It's so well done.
Yeah, it is.
Especially for the time.
Yeah.
Like just trying to pull all those different elements.
Yeah.
Together, and that must have been just such a fun.
It must have been.
Broke into the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you, you bastard?
Yeah, it's just brilliant. Yeah. I also love the distraction scene, which I think comes after this or maybe before, I'm not sure, where they try and they have to plan because they know like they're sitting ducks, they need to get out of the town. So Bacon kind of acts as a decoy, and he runs to go and get, what is it, like a tractor or something? Yeah,
they've got like a kind of like a tractor, but with a big truck bed behind it. So they're going to like get everyone in there, so it's solid, so they can't heavy enough that the graboids can't turn it over.
Yeah, exactly. Bacon isn't quite fast enough to make it. And so they're all yelling at him, stay still, stay still. And it's a really nice, genuine moment of tension where Bacon is just like, he's lifting up his leg every time one of like the graboid tongues pokes out of the ground. And then everyone else is trying to distract the graboid and make as much noise as possible to try and save him. I really like that.
Because we end up with Rhonda ends up down from the water tower that she was hiding on, trapped in barbed wire, being pulled by the graboid. She ends up with her pants off.
It's the smartest thing to do.
In that moment,
take your pants off.
But it's moments of like genuine fear as an audience member thinking, I don't want these cameras, these are the characters I really like, I don't want them to go.
I know. All
but
of them are brilliant.
through most of it, we don't see anything.
No.
Like, apart from like the odd little thing.
Yeah.
And you occasionally get the big hero graboid shot.
Yeah.
So their plan is to get to the mountains. They can't drive anyway because half the cars have been wrecked or would get pulled down. That's why they decided to go for the truck, because it's too heavy to be flipped.
Yeah.
So there's a scene earlier where Rhonda, Val and Earl are trying to escape some graboids after killing one of them.
Yeah.
And they have to pole vault.
I was going to say the pole vaulting scene.
The music in this is
brilliant.
Two different composers did the music for this, but it's so upbeat.
I know.
But that's when they realise that the graboids can't penetrate rock.
Yeah.
So that's why they're like, well, if we go to the mountains, that's all rock. They'll be safe there. Again, I like small moments early in the film that influence bigger scenes later on. It's it's classic scaling.
Yeah.
So try and get all the remaining survivors in the back of in this big flatbed. They pick up Bert and Heather, who've made a bunch of homemade explosives.
Yeah.
After they've drove on for a little bit, and the graboids set a trap.
Yeah.
They dig a trench so they get stuck, and it basically forces them all to run to some rocks where they get stuck.
Wait, look out!
And the town start turning against each other a little bit because
there's a lot
stress,
of anger. There's fear. Yeah.
Yeah, but they decide to start using these bombs that Bert has made to both distract or try and kill the graboids. So they basically go fishing with them.
Going fishing like.
So put them on some rope, flinging them out, graboids, pull them down, boom. But the graboids are smart. You can't do that more than once.
Yeah.
There's 4 graboids in total in this film. So we've seen one kill itself by going through some concrete.
Yeah.
The second one is shot to shit by the gummers.
Yeah.
Third one blows itself out. And the last one he's called Stumpy. He's the only one who has a name. That's the one that lost its one of its tongues earlier in the film. It's one that particularly doesn't like.
Yeah.
Look who it is. Right, give me that thing. This sumbitch is mine.
He's like, right, how long a fuse do I need to use? And he's like, what do you have these fuses for? What do you have cannon fuses for? He's like, for my cannon.
My cannon.
My cannon.
Just, of course.
Cannon fuse.
What the hell you use it for?
My cannon. You guys watch yourselves.
We do see... it might be the same cannon, but in Tremors 4, it's set in the Wild West, where Bert's ancestor was a pacifist.
I'm sure that's a little throwback.
Yeah, well, in the movie, he fights graboids with a cannon.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's meant to be the same cannon that's been passed down.
I would imagine
I would like to think so, but it takes us 4 movies to see this cannon.
Yeah.
But yeah, and his bombs are just made from things that he just has lying around his home. God, really, I'm firing through all the great scenes and getting through the plot of this film.
I know. Well, it's what is it? An hour and a half?
It's only a short film.
It's a short film, I guess, but it just runs so tightly. There's not a moment that's wasted. In the movie at all, and how they ultimately come to defeat Stumpy is also just a classic.
Because they have one bomb left, and what Kevin Bacon decides to do is he's got a goddamn plan. He wants to take this bomb, make the graboid chase him to the edge of the cliff. And if he throws the bomb behind him, it'll blow up, it'll get scared, it'll just basically stampede.
Yeah.
Which, the ironic of it being a stampede is that's how he wakes up Earl at the beginning of the film. He's asleep in his truck. And stampede! And that would basically make the graboid fly through the cliff and die below. It's one of the things I get. Earl goes with him to chase her, and Ronda's like, she's got the light. So they have to run. It's a really good scene. It cements Val as he's a hero.
He is a hero. Yeah.
For a character who's just wanted to leave this entire film.
Yeah.
And not that he's been cowardly, but that has been their whole start of Val Mills. they want to be got. Like they don't want to
feel
be in this town anymore, and they've ended up being its saviors.
Val and Earl have for probably a while been burdened with a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
Because as you say before, like they are just the go-to guys for everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you need a problem sorted? You go to Val and Earl. It's like, you need someone to go on horseback and ride into the town? You Val and Earl. It's like everything kind of falls.
You need someone to come up with a plan? Val and Earl.
Yeah.
It's because it's Bert that kind of goes. It's like when he realized that they didn't really have a plan.
Yeah.
There was just, oh, we're just gonna leave, and he's like, well, we could have stayed. He's like, could have stayed at my place.
Like
He's like, we had food, we had everything. They're like, well, we would have torn.
Yeah.
They would have torn that place down. He's like, well, it's better than following you, like losers essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's because the town's like bestowed this responsibility on them. They didn't want this. They want it to be gone.
Yeah, they're not tacticians or anything like that. They're handymen. And it makes them infinitely really relatable. I think, and I really do love them.
They've got a friendship that I just really
you want
like.
it.
Yeah, you want that friendship.
You it's always really fun to watch, but I think when push comes to shove, it's also a friendship that you want with a buddy yourself. And I really like that. I also just want to talk briefly about Val's relationship with Rhonda.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, sparks don't fly right away.
No, because she's not his type.
She is absolutely not Val's type. What is his type? It's like, you will have blonde hair, big breasts, and legs that won't quit, or, something
Which,
like that.
ironically, was what the studio wanted. They wanted, like, a typical blonde movie star to play the role of Rhonda.
Oh, man. And then he meets Rhonda, and she could not be more of the opposite than what his actual ideal, his female ideal is. But they do grow to really like each other throughout the movie, and I just really like how the relationship plays out because Finn Carter, who plays Rhonda, I adore her in this. I think she is such a great character. I think she's got really good comic timing. She essentially becomes one of the boys. Like, Val and Earl start off as a twosome. They eventually kind of just become a trio.
Yeah.
And I really like that. She can hold her own with them. And it's a shame she didn't really go on to do much more bigger stuff, but I do love her in this. But it's just really sweet because the end of the movie is they do ultimately get together.
I mean, we know from Tremors 2 that they do stay together.
Alright, I'm happy with that. Because I don't think we ever see her again, do we, in the franchise?
No. There was a hint later on that Kevin might have returned for one of the sequels because one of the characters is his child.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember if they're still together or not by that point.
Okay.
But I think at that point they had tried to get him to come back, but that wasn't, for whatever, they couldn't make that work, especially on a TV film budget.
I like just before he kisses her and he's, muttering to himself, like, what does a girl like her want with a guy like me? Anyway, I think he's been humbled a little bit throughout the whole movie.
He's kind of intimidated because she's smart. She's very smart.
She's smart. She's the outsider. As I say, like, she's college, university educated. Like, she knows fancy words.
Yeah.
She knows stuff. Just want to talk about some quotes because we got some Stone Cold classics.
Quotes.
Obviously, I got a goddamn plan.
Got a goddamn plan.
The amount of Tremors quotes that we just
do in our regular
day-to-day.
Goddamn plan is one that I do quite often.
What are you doing? I got a goddamn plan!
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Like, it's a lot of these quotes I'm realising are just Kevin Bacon. Like, could you shut up? It's not like the line itself is quite ordinary. It's the delivery of it that I like. The fuck you.
Fuck you.
I found the ass end.
Yeah.
I love another one as well where it's between him and Fred Ward. And Fred Ward, like, they're walking away somewhere and Fred, like, falls slightly and he screams because he thinks momentarily that a graboid's got him, and then Val and Rhonda are like, oh my god, what is it? It's a damn prairie dog burrow.
What?
Damn prairie dog burrow.
Little sons of bitches.
and then Kevin Bacon's just like, sons of bitches.
Deadly serious.
Just sons of bitches. There's another one I really like as well, where Val and Earl, it's when they're establishing a plan because they know someone's going to play decoy, and they do rock paper scissors, and Fred Ward wins. So technically, it should be Fred that runs off to, distract the graboid to make a go of it.
No, it's Val wants to go.
Yes.
So he does it. It's like, right, you win, that means I lose, I go. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, I win, so that means I go.
Yeah. And
I just like that dynamic.
I do as well, because for a minute you think Val's going to allow him to go, and then he elbows him in the belly or something like that. And Val, he knows he's faster, so he's the one that does it. And then Fred Ward's like, "You suicidal son of a bitch."
You suicidal son of a bitch.
It's just such a lovely friendship.
Yeah.
It's great. There's endlessly quotable this movie.
That's
It's just
something
perfect.
It's something the 90s really had, even though it's from the 80s, slap bang beginning of the 90s when this came out. The 90s for me gave me films that are just so quotable.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think as I'm getting older, I'm getting more and more of an appreciation for the 90s.
Yeah.
And particularly the films that came out then.
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought it would happen.
I watch this film like at least 2 or 3 times a year. It's a comfort movie for me.
It is. There's something so infinitely
We've watched it
cozy
twice
about
this year alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And only one of those was for research.
I never get bored of it.
I never get bored of it.
Hey, Rhonda, you ever heard of anything like this before?
Oh, sure, Earl. Everybody knows about them. We just didn't tell you.
It's just one of those movies of every time I watch it, it just kind of feels like you're going home. Or like, you see an old friend. Or something like that. It's so lovely.
Would you say this is a film you could introduce kids to?
Oh, totally.
Like, it could be a gateway horror, because
Definitely.
it's not an overly violent film.
No. I don't even think as a kid I was ever scared.
I was never scared.
Watching Tremors. But I always had so much fun watching Tremors, because I enjoy hanging out with these characters. Like, I want to hang out with Val and Earl.
I know another idea they had for sequels, outside, like, before going down the graboid route again, is they wanted Val and Earl just to become monster hunters, and they were going to do a series of films of them taking on different monsters.
Yeah.
I would have adored that.
I think it would have been a lot of fun too. It could have turned into a very different franchise. But something I do love is when you see Michael Gross and some of the other cast and crew talk about it, is I don't think it ever really fails to knock them sideways a bit when they see just how beloved it still is.
Yeah.
And when they see how young the fans are. Like, fans that weren't even born. Like you and me, when this movie came out. But
fans are still being made for this film.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it just kind of knocks them for six. They're like, and this film is just the gift that keeps on giving in that sense. People love it. It wasn't just of its time. People really do adore this movie through the ages.
Ultimately, it's simple. It's simple, well made, well acted, and it's fun.
It is. It's just a fun ride.
And that's all I want from my monster movies, really.
Yeah.
I remember I have seen... We're in FOP, I think it is, which is an offshoot of HMV in the UK. And I saw Special Edition Tremors 2 Aftershocks on Blu-ray. But it was 35 English pounds. At the time...
We're prepared to...
I wasn't prepared. But I will own that, because I've never seen it since, though, annoyingly. But now I know it exists.
It does exist. It's out there in the world somewhere.
I need it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I really want to do at least the first 4 Tremors.
Okay.
I think they deserve a video of their own, and then maybe the others one just kind of like together.
Yeah.
Because all the sequels, the original sequels, go into like the life cycle of the graboids, and it gets weird. So we go from worms, graboids, to shriekers. So they give birth to like about 6, 7, or 8 of these little shriekers, like bipedal, and they see through infrared, and that's what Tremors 2 is about. Tremors 2 is a great film. It's so much fun.
I think we're gearing up for Tremors 2.
We are gearing up for Tremors 2.
Maybe next summer.
I almost get as much enjoyment out of that one as I do this one.
Yeah.
For different reasons. It's just a really fun film.
Uh-huh.
And it's just tragic that it didn't make it in cinemas. Going into Tremors 3, which I'd like less... Back to Perfection, I think that one's called. The Shriekers eat and eat and eat and eat. That's all they do. They eat. And they eventually turn into ass blasters.
Ass blasters.
Yeah.
Fill the ass in.
That is one of the dumbest names they could have came up with. So it's when they start to fly. When I watched the dead meat kill count for the first one, when the graboid bursts out the cliff and falls.
Oh, can you fly, you sucker?
They were like, niggas, not for another 2 movies. In the voiceover. Loved it. So they shoot a gas out of their back that gets their back end that gets ignited and it blasts them into the air. And that's why I think in the film it's Walter Chang's daughter who now runs a store and she coins the term ass blasters. I always just thought that was really dumb. And the ass blasters eventually lay the seeds, they die off, and graboids, that's their life cycle.
There's a whole life cycle.
There's a whole life cycle. It doesn't really make a ton of sense. I think in the later films they straight up just call them ABs instead of ass blasters because it's dumb, it's stupid.
It's also like in the first movie, you know, there is a lot of debate as to what these worms are and where they come from, and even Rhonda is just at an absolute loss.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, these things must predate the fossil record, but we've just never seen one until now? Like, how is that possible? How have they gone under the radar for so long? And the film doesn't explain it, and I like that.
I like that there is a graboid that is introduced in the later films and is a main character in the TV series called El Blanco, which is a white graboid.
Yeah.
That's really, really old. And basically the plot of the TV series is Melvin wants to sell off the town and have it developed. You know, the people who live there don't want that. And for a while, the government deemed it as an area of, like, significance because of these endangered species that live there, but they hadn't been seen in a while until El Blanco comes back. And he kind of circles the town. So they use he's weirdly a hero, El Blanco, in the TV
What
show.
Twist.
There's hidden government labs in the desert as well. Weird stuff. But El Blanco being there is what keeps the town from being developed.
Okay.
I will watch it with you at some point. There's not a lot of episodes because it got cancelled very early on.
A hero albino.
Yeah, the albino graboid called El Blanco.
Cannot wait for that.
Not all. I think it's like one of the only ones who hasn't that's given a name.
Yeah.
Other than
Stumpy.
Other than Stumpy. The sequels take us to the Arctic at some point.
Yeah.
Which very famously they recoloured sand to make it look like snow. And it didn't look good.
Do we end up with like a tropical island?
Oh, Shrieker Island.
Yeah.
We
go all over the place with these things.
I know Michael Gross is done with the franchise now.
Yeah.
But he was, because he's getting old. He is getting old.
Yeah.
He's now hinted he might want to come back.
I mean, he wasn't young in the original Tremors. Like, not young.
He was in, what, his 30s at the time, maybe?
Oh, I guess, actually, I'll take that back.
Yeah. If you can't tell, we love this movie. Do you have any more notes on it?
I don't. No, I just will always love this movie. I'm so happy we finally got to talk about it.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done it justice.
I hope so. It's weird. It feels like one where we've not talked about the plot a ton, just talked about everything around this movie, what makes this movie special.
The plot is is very simple. I think you could sum it up at the beginning like we did.
Yeah.
It's a town besieged by giant worms.
Giant worms.
And the townsfolk dealing with it.
It is land sharks.
It's land sharks.
Interestingly, it had another name. So after...
Yeah.
I forgot about this until right now. So after it was called Graboids, they changed the name again because that's obviously a term that people didn't know.
Yeah.
Before going into production, it was called Beneath Perfection.
Yeah.
Obviously in reference to the town, which is called Perfection.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in the fourth movie where they go back in town, the town was called Rejection.
Yeah.
It was later renamed as Perfection.
Perfection.
I really
and
like
this
that.
movie is...
It is. Oh, it absolutely is. But it had another name because of unions.
Uh-huh.
So the state they filmed it in wasn't a union state, but so they didn't have to use unions. But also, like, unions were still a relatively new thing, and there was more workforce in the film industry than what the unions could take in. And in order to, because a film, one of the Ernest films had been picketed at its premiere by unions for not using union workers.
Right.
On the budget they had to use non-union workers. But it's one of those things that if you wanted to use unions, you were also very restricted because they weren't an accurate representation of the sheer amount of workforce in the film industry at the time. So they went under the name of Dead Silence when they were filming to try and not have unions sniffing around them.
And then eventually, I guess I don't know who decided on Tremors, who came up with it, but
admittedly, I'm not that far into the book yet. If it was Films Beneath Perfection, I believe that's probably a marketing thing after the fact.
More than likely.
Tremors is a really good name.
Yeah.
And it lends itself to being franchisable more than Beneath Perfection. I think.
Definitely.
I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter because the film flopped.
I know. It made if anyone's curious, it made about 16.7 million. But the budget fluctuates a lot depending on sources, anywhere from 6 million to 10 million.
In the book, they said they initially got, the loan they got was for 10 million.
Right.
So with
Makes
marketing,
sense.
maybe usually I'd 50% on
Yeah,
for marketing,
so
so it probably broke even.
It's kind of bad because I don't know if this movie was released today, I don't know how well it would do necessarily.
No, I don't know how well it would do.
Because obviously the world is now so used to horror comedies.
Yeah.
Would this one stand out in any way? Or would it just kind of become a bit of
Can't really make
sleeper
movies
movie?
like this anymore. Michael Grove said when making the new films, they're made for a very different audience.
Yeah, that's very true.
And it's a product of
Its time.
its time, and I'll continue to watch it. But it's also kind of timeless at the same time.
Which is why people even, as I say, like, people are finding it in their own way. People that weren't even around in the 90s
Yeah.
are falling in love with it. So there is something to the simplicity that people just find inherently very attractive.
Are we done?
I
Are we
think
done
we're
talking about Tremors?
I think so.
I mean, we are not done talking about Tremors.
We'll never be done.
We'll never be done. We'll do the sequels. I might even do the TV series
You on your own and that
on
one.
my own. I'll binge it.
But this was good. I've really enjoyed talking about it.
Same. This is a very special movie for me. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble for a while, according to the cameras. Have you seen this movie? What do you think about it?
Yeah.
What was your first experience watching?
Yeah,
Like,
do you
how did you come
remember
about
the
it? 'Cause I know
first
we do
time?
have a couple of like more older viewers who comment quite regularly. So I'm kind of curious if any of them saw it when it first came out.
Yeah.
Because I know we've got a couple of people over in the States as well.
Yeah.
One thing that's been quite kind of nice is over the last few months we get a lot more comments and regular comments.
Which is lovely.
So I just kind of want to say thank you to everyone who's been commenting on
Yeah,
videos recently.
thank you.
I really like responding to everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys, and we will see you next week.
Bye.